How obnoxious would that be to be interviewed and then have the interviewer correct your grammar the whole time? All right, so welcome to the Eric Tries Too Hard podcast. This week we have Rob Banks. How's it going, dude?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
I'm good, just finding different weird voices to do that dumb 2-line intro, and then the rest of it gets to be like normal. So anyway.
You could get some intro music, some rock or something.
It's true. That's true, but I feel like I'm the type of person who, I say this phrase a lot when I'm trying to make something creative. I'm like, how funny would it be if we just left it in there? And so I can only imagine like the dumb I would spend more time, honestly, like finding something really stupid to put at the beginning of the podcast than I would the actual podcast. So there's no, yeah. So you are a stand-up, right?
Yeah, I am.
So how long have you been doing it?
I've been doing it for a couple years off and on, but probably 2 years steady, 2 years serious.
And what is steady and serious? Like what does that entail?
Like constantly going up, at least 2 or 3 open mics a week. Getting a show whenever I can, talking to whoever comes my way. I was doing it out in Cleveland, Ohio, and I moved to Los Angeles, and that's when I took it more seriously. And
you're doing the open mics in Los Angeles, or are you going to the around the city, like outside of the city clubs?
I'm usually in the San Fernando Valley or in Hollywood.
Oh, okay. I keep hearing mixed things about starting out in LA, or not starting out in LA, but like really trying to like do open mics in LA. I have half the people are saying, and it's always about the same thing. It's that you never know who's in the crowd. And so half the time that's a good thing, and the other half the time I hear comics say like they like to stay out of LA unless they're doing something like a show or they're headlining or something. What's your experience been like doing open mics in LA, in the belly of that?
Well, if you're going to do, honestly, I think if you're going to do open mic at like a big time comedy club like the Comedy Store, the Laugh Factory, or the Improv, then you're going to have people in the audience who are going to watch you and could possibly book you and get you some work. But at any other open mic where it isn't that really big, then it's just mostly other comedians in the crowd. And I think in a way it all benefits you. Like,
yeah.
You don't need to go overkill too much, because then it adds up with gas. And, one thing that I always kind of struggle with is having material always ready to go for those open mics, then also trying to get 5 minutes where mostly mics out here are 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm. No, so I always, when I do the math in my head on a lot of open mics that are just populated by stand-up comics in the crowd, I feel like that's a really bad way to judge whether your bit is working. But I can imagine it's a pretty good, it forces you to adapt your bit and add new tags and just little things in it, because the people in the crowd, after you do that mic a couple times, everybody's going to know your bit if they're even, paying attention.
Yeah, that's a problem that I run into, is that one open mic that I go to constantly every week, they know what I did last week and the week before, so it's even the little laughs that I got from that time, the first time, I will not really get those laughs again if I do that bit again. So that's a challenge that you can run into. But I've had situations happen to me where I've done shows and just done really well and killed it, and then I'll go to open mic the next night and just completely bomb.
Yeah.
And it brings you back down from having like a ego or thinking that you're actually on a ball or rolling or something.
That video you sent me, you were killing with setups. I was like, this is fantastic.
That was a great audience. Honestly, that was probably one of that was a great show because it had a great audience. The recording that I had was 8 to 10 minutes, and the woman who recorded did it all for free and edited it and just sent it over to me within like a few weeks after the show.
So that's really nice. Yeah.
It was one of the best venues. Honestly, it's one of the best venues out here. That video's been up for maybe 10 to 12 months now, but I don't know if that venue's still going. And
what was the venue?
It was the Coffee Gallery in Altadena, near Pasadena.
So that's funny because when you sent me that, I was like, I've seen that backdrop before, because I think I've had a couple guys on from LA. But yeah, no, that's really cool. I liked your whale bit. I'm not obviously gonna like spoil it, but I was listening and I was like, where the hell is he going with this? And then it was very good.
Yeah, well, thank you.
But yeah, so okay, so you had mentioned in your bit and when we started this how you came from Ohio.
Yeah.
Okay, so what made you? I assume it was stand up. What made you decide to move to relocate? Because that's a big deal when you're trying to be an artist in any way. That you actually made the move to go do that.
Honestly, I had just graduated high school, and it had been about 8 months since I graduated. I didn't really want to go to college at the time because I didn't really have anything that I wanted to do, and I didn't want to just to go to take on debt. So I just, I always kind of wanted to move out here and pursue and take it more seriously. So I just said, screw it, and just did it,
You can take on debt in all sorts of ways. That's might as well do it doing something you love.
Right, and I'm young, so I mean, might as well just do it just to see where it goes.
Yeah. So what are you doing for money now?
I work at this country club as a banquet server. As much fun as it sounds.
Yeah, I bet. I was gonna say you look really young, but that's fine. I mean, that's a job, and you're working. You're doing mics, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, what first got you into stand up, and specifically stand up in the way that it's kind of like you realized that was something like really, really amazing?
I think when I was around 15, I started looking more into it. I saw more videos of stand up. Honestly, I think it was when I was like 12 or 11. I think I saw Dan Cook's stand up when he was at Madison Square, and that was serious, at the time. And then, but I mean, that was like the first one I saw, and then I kind of looked more into it when I was 15, 16. That's kind of, I felt like it could have helped. Branching into stand up, it could help me get more into acting eventually at one point. So that's what pursued me to go into stand up.
Yeah. Are you if you do serious acting, do you think that they'll let you still have your Midwest A accent? Not A as in Canada, but A as in that.
Oh,
no, my wife's from Central PA, and everything is dad.
Yeah.
And then everything else is just completely normal.
They call soda pop, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I learned that one. I found that one the hard way. Is out here, I was calling, oh, why don't we get some pop over those bars over there? And then these people are like, where are you from? And people always was asking if I was from Canada or something. I'm like, no, I'm just from Ohio.
Holy shit, I love the idea of like the kind of stuck up, cultured LA Hollywood people being that ignorant to not be able to recognize a Midwest accent from a Canadian accent.
Oh, it's the funniest thing because sometimes I give it like a southern drawl too, so people get really a handful of people get thrown off. Like, where are you from? That southern accent is just, are you from like Tennessee or Georgia or something? And I'm like, no, I'm from northern Ohio.
Yeah. Dude, oh my God, that's so funny. That accent comes up because I always have, I'm from Baltimore. I have a lot of people from Baltimore has that same A thing. So does Philly. I see a lot of people from there. But no, that's like extreme. That's like a 4 to 5 state, very specific thing. Okay, so growing up in what type of area were you in? City, rural, or suburb?
I grew up on a small farm.
Holy shit! Okay, what was that like?
I have the stereotypical small town story, but it wasn't bad. It was 4 acres. We had sheep till I was probably 13 in the back. It was all fenced up. The property that I grew up on is my father grew up in it because his father built it. So my grandfather built the whole property and all the buildings on it, and then my parents just bought it from them once I was about to be born. I'm pretty sure.
That's great. Okay, so you said you have a typical. What is that typical? I don't know that typical. What was going on?
Small town story kid. The kid from the small town moving to the big city.
Well, for instance, in high school, what'd you do for fun? What do you do over there?
Well, besides going to Walmart, sometimes we play football.
Yeah. I was gonna say definitely. Well, I've heard the Walmart stories a lot.
Yeah.
I was thinking of it recently because I'm from like where I grew up was the ultimate like suburbia of suburbia. Like you look around, it's just big open neighborhoods, kids playing, big yards, like whatever. But in 15 minutes in one direction, you have farms, and 15 minutes in the other direction is fucking West Baltimore. So like you had a choice of how you wanted to like what area, like what environment you wanted to be in. Well, if you had, if you had a car and like you got to choose where you live.
Yeah.
But so like I know me and my psycho friends would always go to like punk shows in Baltimore and DC. Keep in mind, this is pre-gentrified West Baltimore. So it still looks like, if you've ever seen The Wire, it still looks like that in those areas. Oh yeah, dude, I'm sorry if anybody's listening to this and I've said this before, but it's totally worth repeating. There's this venue that's called the Auto Bar in Baltimore. It's this classic punk venue. Like every big punk and hip hop group has come through there before they got big. And I used to go to see shows there in the early 2000s. And like you'd walk by and there'd be like, thug kids on their stoop, like yelling at you, throwing shit at you as you're walking into the venue. And they used to always like yell this shit like "What boy, why your pants so tight?" and like shit like that. And this is no shit. I went away to college. I come back around 2008, 2009, and it's all gentrified. All the hipsters have moved in. And I remember walking to the venue, and some hipster yelled at us, making fun of our pants being too baggy. You're fucking kidding. But I had a lot of friends who live or hang out in the rural area, and it was Walmart, tractor parties.
Yeah.
I don't know. You said yeah. And I just remember hanging out with it was always because I wanted to hang out with some girl and like her friends,
Yeah.
but like hanging out in fields or in the setting fireworks off in the woods.
We didn't set off fireworks too much. We weren't that crazy. But one thing that we did do that I thought was probably the most fun that I'd go back to in a heartbeat is right down the road from where I grew up is we had a huge Blossom Music Center, this huge stage and huge lawn, so all these country bands would come in, and we would just go sneak into all the country concerts and just get belligerent pretty much, and everyone else there was belligerent. I remember I was like 17, and I saw my teacher there in like the bathroom, and he was completely drunk, I was completely drunk, and he completely like I was in line about to go up, and then he cut the line in front. He's like, "What's going on, man?" I honestly almost bought him a beer because I thought it was so funny. But I knew that wasn't such a good idea. I was going to have to be in his class the next Monday.
Dude, I love how. So that's a small. A lot of people think that's Southern. That's definitely small town lingo.
Yeah. When
you say getting belligerent, like you skip right over why everyone's belligerent, which I love because you're like, no, it's wholesome. It's wholesome.
It's what a country concert is.
Yeah.
If you're sober in a country concert, you are hating your life. It's not fun.
Dude, I feel like if I really want to see people fighting or like yelling at each other and I want to be entertained by it, the first place I go is, World Star Hip Hop's fight comps. Yeah. The second place I go is a YouTube country concert fight. Fantastic. Okay, well, actually, are you into? Is that the kind of music you're into?
So a little bit. Not
you can say yes. Much. You're in a safe place. This is a safe place.
Yes, I like it.
Yeah. Now, this always, because country is so far removed from all the other genres in the sense that you can be a country artist and sell, like 100,000 albums. I'm trying to think of a realistic answer now that nobody sells albums anymore. But like, say you sell a shit ton of albums and you're really, really successful and you have a huge following and 0 people outside of country know who you are. Like that can happen. Like that's so rare. Like for any musician to be able to do that. Because it's so far removed, for you and the other members of your community, are you also into a shit ton of other music, or is country like that, or is it like what Juggalos are to ICP, where it's like just this? I don't need anything else, just this.
No, no, I like other music. It's just the country concerts in Ohio are like the best kind of concerts to go to. I went to a Drake concert at Blossom Music Center, and it was terrible. It was the worst. I actually paid for that one. It was the worst concert I had ever seen because Drake went on and did like 10 songs over an hour, and then the next 2 hours he just did shout outs to people in the crowd.
That's the worst thing I've ever heard.
And then like his openers too, he had like Meek Mill and like French Montana, and he had 2 Chainz, I'm pretty sure, and they all individually did one song,
Yeah.
either with Drake or without, but that was like it.
That's real club hip hop shit, by the way. Like whenever I would see like really small, like whatever, reasonable, mid level, like Dead Prez type, or what the fuck else did I see who did that? But like, Dead Prez is the ultimate example because it was such like an exaggerated thing of that, like, oh yeah, just everybody do one song. They had maybe 13 openers come out and do a song and then leave. I was like, what the fuck is happening? Well, what makes the country concerts so good?
Because everyone gets so drunk.
The belligerents. Okay, all right.
Girls get so drunk at country concerts, and it's just.
And then what do? Don't censor it for me.
They make out and they get down, dog.
That's it. When I was
have a family, I'd take you to a country concert.
Oh, I can go.
You can go,
dude.
right, we'll go.
I play in punk bands. Granted, I don't see girls making out, but I see a lot of crazy shit.
Yeah.
That's huh?
Did you ever go to Warped Tour?
Oh yeah, that's child's play. No, Warped Tour.
That's like everyone knows about that one,
Yeah, no, Warped Tour is one of those things where it's like, if you're backstage, that's where craziness happens. But at the normal tour, it's just the normal like underage drinking, that kind of thing. It's nothing. Well, actually, maybe back in the day, I don't remember. But sorry, to answer your question, yeah, for the last 13 years, I'm the oldest guy there. It's the fucking worst now. Now that's okay. So with country concerts, enjoying people getting belligerent drunk and watching that kind of thing. So I get, is that kind of like I'll go to sporting events for that. Like that's definitely entertaining to watch other people in the crowd. That's for sure.
Yeah.
It's so funny because the more you describe that country thing, like what the concerts are like, that reminds me of when I was in middle school, which was like 98 to 2000 or whatever. Though I say or whatever, like no, maybe it could be later. No, it was those years, and nu metal was huge, and I saw a Papa Roach concert, and that could not have been more like rock and roll, flash titties, make out, like. Oh man, good times at 14 with my mom. But yeah, so let's see. Okay, so what got you into just liking stand up as an art form? Was it that Dane Cook special? That unfortunately the one I love Dane Cook. I feel like that special was the one real black mark on his stand up career. I thought every other one was like amazing, and then that one I was like, that was a funny joke about your dad. But was that what got you into watching stand-up, or was there anything before then?
Well, I'd watched it, and then I went to the local comedy club in Ohio from my hometown.
How old were you?
I was 16 at the time.
Yeah.
And it was during the summer. My mom was so hesitant to come with me. I had begged her to come, and then she finally came along, and I had signed up for the open mic, and it went terrible, just like anyone else's open mic. But I think after a while, after doing it for so long, and just keep going up and keep writing and keep going after it, is what kind of made me really love the art form. Because until like this year, I never really I'd watch stand-up specials on Netflix, but I never really would go to shows and just catch like a stand-up show.
Yeah.
Where like until now I go if I'm free on Tuesdays, I go to the Comedy Store and just watch the show, like the comics go up.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to see because now I'm at that point where I can tell like who's really writing really well and how they're acting it out, and then I can watch how their form, how they're acting out, and how the audience reacts to it. So I can take that whole scope of that and just, focus on what I need to focus on. You know,
Yeah.
like maybe more acting out the scene and in this bit, or you know, rewriting the ending to another.
Yeah, yeah. That makes so that's really cool. I liken that to, I guess, any skill you're learning where you start to think you get good, and then you're like, then you actually start to get good, and you realize, oh shit, I suck. There's so many other things I could be improving upon.
Yeah.
And like
Well,
that sounds, yeah. You seem like you study it a lot.
what was it? I saw I forget his name, but he was hilarious. I went to the comedy store one night. And, well, there's two guys that I usually like to see. One guy, I don't remember his name, but he's so vivid and so animated with the scenes that it's just hilarious every time he does a bit. But I also like to see Joey Diaz.
Mhm.
Joey Diaz has these raunchiest stories that I think are just hilarious, you know. And I think like most audience is probably like grossed out and like disturbed a little bit, but you know, it fits my sense of humor, so I just laugh my ass off.
Yeah. So in you, sorry, I had like four questions I wanted to ask you, and now in my head I'm reprioritizing them. Okay, so one, are there any whether it's someone you saw just from being out there or someone you got to perform with, is there any like cool, like, I can't believe I got to interact with this, or watch this like really well known stand up in, I don't know, in this capacity?
Um, I saw, all right, there's two things. I saw Mark Maron live. He did a show over in Los Feliz, and he went on for like an hour and a half, pretty much. And you know, I never had seen him live before, and it was just hilarious.
Yeah,
And then I saw Bill Burr.
yeah,
Now, I didn't see Bill. Here's the thing. I was going to Flappers Comedy Club in Burbank, and I had like a show. I was doing like 5 minutes on one of the shows there. Now, I didn't see Bill Burr go up. I watched in the back to get like a bottle of water, and Bill Burr was in the back talking to the manager, and I was starstruck
yeah, yeah,
by him, and it just threw me off. I was more nervous seeing him than actually doing my show that night.
yeah, yeah.
But that was like the only person I was ever starstruck by.
That's really cool. That's all. Yeah. I found that. So I've just been doing music forever, and I also do like another podcast. It's a music podcast where we get like pretty decent, up there like bands. And it's so funny because every time I've met in person or through music stuff, I've met somebody who's like in a band that I love. I get nervous, and it's like, oh, and it's a horrible
Yeah,
experience. And a lot of times they're dicks, which is a bummer. I think I'm not going to meet anybody from bands I like anymore. But the times where like I've actually had really good interactions are the ones where it's with an artist who I don't even like, and then I have to like interact with them, and it's gone. There's no worries, no
yeah,
whatsoever, and then you end up having a great interaction with them. So just next time you meet someone you love, I don't know, try to meet somebody you hate instead. Then.
yeah. Well, I see where you're coming from because the most of the comedians at the Comedy Store had the biggest egos and they
Oh
were
yeah.
dicks. So I see where you're coming from by meeting.
You're also young and threatening, though. That'll happen.
But all right.
Oh, you with your. Okay, I have a thing about artists. If you meet an artist who can take a compliment, then they're no good. Throw them out. Throw them out. If you
Yeah,
meet an artist and they cannot take a compliment, then yeah, that's fantastic. All right. Hold on. No, you're very threatening with your belligerent ways. And no, I meant threatening as it not you per se. No offense, not
yeah,
you per se, but
yeah.
the idea of you gets threatening, and it's
Right.
more like, and it's, they may not feel threatened, but what they're feeling is fuck this person, or fuck
Yeah,
this person, fuck this group of people. I don't want to hear anybody from anybody at this level because it's not you, it's me. It's my time. So go away.
yeah. I get that.
I don't have to get it. It's kind of a shitty thing to do. And
I,
yeah. Okay, so yeah, they're kind of dicks. Any particular experiences? Obviously not name names, but just like something you've witnessed or had happen to you.
um, just from like the short little conversations I've had with some of the regulars there, they just had these egos and they're just above the clouds pretty much.
Just like talking about themselves kind of thing.
they just kind of have this like attitude in a way, you know, like just this like it goes back to what you were saying is like, dude, I don't have time for you, like,
Okay.
like I'm better than you. I'm a regular at the Comedy Store, you know.
Yeah. No, I can totally see that. Plus,
Yeah.
and this is hard because I have to compare everything to music because I know the inside. I like I've done all that stuff before. I just know as a musician, as you start to get just even a little bit of success, by the time that you actually have any kind of following, you've been told by a million bands that are bigger than you to go fuck yourself, and you've also been asked for help by a bunch, sometimes by those same bands later on down the line. So I know people end up kind of like going for themselves a little bit, but that doesn't seem like an ego thing. It sounds like what you're talking about is more they've reached a certain like status in their mind, and they're just reaching up. They're not interested in the moment. They're interested in their idea of themselves.
Yeah.
I can't be seen talking to you. What do you have? 5 minutes?
Open micer.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, I imagine.
They'll classify you as that. You're not regular. Well, you're an open micer.
and then you, what are you, 20?
Yeah.
19 to 20? And you 20-year-old who's moved out to LA, who's doing this pretty consistently, right. And they call you an open, and you're like, yes, I am. I'm an open micer performing in LA. Like yes, I am.
There must be a mix-up. You say the open micer performing at the show, you know.
Did somebody say that to you?
No, but that's what I just came to my mind.
Holy shit. Oh,
that would be a little cruel.
I just picture because
the booker. I think there's been a mix-up. You have an open micer performing.
What? Do you got like? No, that's great because it's definitely it's just you're. I like this.
It's like it's short and simple, you know, straight to the point.
Comics at that level, you know, regulars at the Comedy Store, I imagine probably think of themselves as pretty hip and edgy and like up and coming, and then to see them like resort to that like 50-year-old entitled guy, just like, excuse me, there seems to be some mistake. There's some mistake, like complaining like there's a hair in their fucking water to the manager of the club. I'm sending this show back, but like, yeah, oh my god. Dude, that sucks. I'm sure it's fine though. Have you found like kind of a group of other open micers to hang out with?
Yeah. Everyone else is pretty chill. It's just once they get that status of open, like Comedy Store regular, that's when they usually get it. But I mean, other than that, most people there aren't too bad. You know, they're pretty simple to get along with.
Yeah. Do they all? Yeah, I know. I only know outside of this podcast. I only know comics through like in Baltimore. Like if I'll go to somebody like to Mike or a show or whatever and watch. To me, it just looks like a bunch of guys standing around in a circle and everybody has the same objective, which is telling jokes, which is not that much different than like every other group of guys I tried to hang out with my entire life. So.
It just has a microphone this time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I even mean just like outside of the venue, like when they're not on stage, all they want to do is just riff in a circle. Like, well, that's really cool that you. I mean, you didn't want to go to college, so you went off and did that. A lot of times, people get started later in everything, not just comedy, but art and even their own trade. If it's something that doesn't require a degree, you'll automatically have 4 years experience on whoever just came out of a school. And I guarantee you've learned more on your job than you ever would if you learned about it.
Yeah.
So there's performing arts majors, like who, unless you're at a school that's connecting you with places, you might as well just be doing it on your own. Because like, who the shit's checking your resume? They're checking your credits. They're not checking your fucking resume when you're auditioning.
I might just make a fake degree and just say. In a few years, I might just make a fake degree and put it on my resume.
Yeah. You can also, that's the,
you know,
so,
like,
here's
that they're calling the school, you know, like.
Here's the biggest,
Did he graduate? Did he not? What's going on? You know.
Here's the biggest lie I think of higher education, is that an undergrad degree takes 4 years to get, and a master's degree takes 2 years for something. My master's degree was 2 years. I did psych. The fact that like in 2 years you can accomplish something 1,000 times harder than something else that takes 4 years is one of those things where I'm like, you don't need, and I'm sure if you looked into it, you could find you don't need X amount of credits to get a degree in something. You just get you get your major. You could take it in a couple of years. You don't need a fucking, I guess, a bachelor's. That's so stupid. That is so fucking stupid. Anyway, I mean, college is fun, but I imagine living out in LA and doing stand-up is probably just fun. Pretty fun, too.
Yeah.
Do you live in a house with like 1,000 guys? Is that what?
Well, I did when I first moved out here. I lived in, like, it's pretty much like a halfway house. You know, I shared the dining room. Ridiculous. But I lived there for a few months, and I met my one roommate now, and we got a 2-bedroom. So now
you guys went solo?
A normal life.
Yeah.
You know.
That's cool. And was that just you had to save up some money before you did that, or you were waiting to find a place?
Just waiting for the right place. Luckily, I found.
So not the dining room floor, the right place.
Luckily, I found a pretty decent. It's not necessarily in the best neighborhood, but I found that pretty much what I was paying for, I was paying like the guy was charging me $550 to share a dining room. You know.
Yeah.
Like California, ridiculous, but I was able to find another apartment which was like $500 a month.
Yeah.
You know? So it wasn't, you know, that's all I was really waiting for, is just the
so
right.
now you're sharing the living room floor.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's okay. You may be in a bad neighborhood or whatever, but like the riots you guys used to have are over my way now.
Yeah.
So you guys are all just fine. They fucking migrated east. God damn it.
10 years, but they finally made it.
It's true. You know, hey, it's a trek. Especially when never mind. Especially when you keep getting pulled over every 10 feet.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, so so is there anything like any interesting stories from when you lived in that house?
Yeah, there's some. I live with this. I don't think I talked about it in the one video that I showed you.
Yeah.
But I lived with this meth addict for a while, who never slept and was always just awake. At one point, he lived in the closet, and like the guy who owned the house still was charging him like $500.
Oh my god! How do you afford it, Jesus?
But he was such a. I don't even know where to begin. He didn't wear any underwear, so his pants would fall down all the time. He'd run out in the middle of the road and stuff. He had this like his mom pretty much paid for his monthly fees, but he had this like I think his mom pretty much funded most of his stuff. But he had this like really cool Dodge Charger, as cool as a Dodge Charger.
You've got such. I just moved to a bigger city and I'm still getting settled. Like idea of riches. Sorry,
but that's why I kind of like didn't mind him, because I was like, dude, let me get the keys to the Charger. He's like, all right, and then I got to whip around the Charger around the city.
Oh, that's pretty sweet. That's not bad, dude. Dead serious. Were you just scared the whole time people were gonna steal your shit?
Yeah. Mostly, I was afraid the meth addict would just skip town and like just take like my laptop and like my TV or something, you know.
Where'd you put the TV? On the table? On the dining room table?
No, I slept underneath the table, so it was like at the end, you know, on the ground. No.
You know what though? That is like when we were like 10-year-old boys. That's what we dreamed of for our own.
Climb underneath the table.
Yeah, drape a blanket over it, put the TV in it. Yeah.
When I was 19, I'd be sleeping. I'd be living underneath there.
Now, I was going to ask if you got laid a lot, but with the no girls allowed sign you put on it, I bet.
I laid once.
How? Under the table?
I got laid on the back deck, on the deck. It was on Valentine's Day. I remember it's all coming back to me because I had a fire.
Keep going.
I had a fire. we went out, we went back to the house, and like I told her like the circumstances that I was in. You know, like she wasn't going in there like whoa, what's going on in here? Like there's 5 beds in the garage, there's 3 in the diner. You know, like what are you? What's gonna happen to me? You know, but I told her, and then we just went back to the house and just had a fire on the back deck, and we're just hanging out with some of the other people that lived there. And then slowly, one by one, everyone went back inside, and it was just me and her. And things got down. Yeah, I gotta hook my phone up to the charger.
Oh, okay.
But, things got down. It was funny. The funniest thing about it is that the deck, there's a second floor, and like you were able to like peek out the window to see like what was going on.
Yeah.
I guess like one of the guys like peeked and just instantly went back and busy with it.
So it cut off a little. I'm assuming he peeked out, saw you, and then ducked in real quick.
Exactly.
Okay, well, so I'm fascinated by this. Now, 2 questions. One, how did you meet this person? And I love the situation that you're in. Yeah, how did you meet? And then, oh, actually, no, sorry. Answer this other one first, because I feel like the first one is going to lead to other questions I have.
Okay.
What happened afterwards? Did she spend the night?
All right, she did not spend the night.
She was both Big Spoon and Little Spoon
left.
with you.
I told her, I was like, ideally, I'd invite you to stay the night, but this isn't the ideal situation to be sleeping in.
Yeah.
And then I met her because when I first moved out here, I was doing background work. I met her on set doing background.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. She was doing it too, I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense because I always just I'm so far removed now from. I've been married since whatever. In the last, my wife and I, we had like a time where we split up for a little bit before we got married. But we've been for the last 10 years. I've been with her 7 of those 10 years. Yeah. So I'm so far removed from like the idea of single life that like. To me, I'm just like, how the shit did I ever get laid without like a car and a house and a job? Or not? Like,
hey, I was as surprised as you are, to be honest.
No, it's just that you're in LA and like you meet somebody and you live in a house with 16 guys, and so it's just like she was a trooper.
Honestly. She was Mexican, so I think she was used to having.
I thought you were gonna say she was just happy to be there.
She could have been. I mean, like, I'm sure she was happy at one point, but I mean, I'm not the judge on that.
Yeah. Well, who are you to judge whether what she was or wasn't, or if she had her papers, or if she was a babe, whatever. It's all good. It's all good in the world.
Out of my hands now. It's just a story.
In the world of background acting. Now that is just being an extra, right? I'm aware of what that is. Okay. No, I don't know. I heard the term. I was like, that's a new term. I was like, oh, that's probably what that means. I will watch fucking. Oh, sorry. What?
Well, I was saying it's the easiest job in the world, but I mean, carry on.
Well, I if it's a show I've seen a bunch of times, usually sitcoms, because those are the ones with like the scenes in coffee shops or a bar where there's a lot of extras that the camera's on them for quite some time in the background. I love watching extras. I love it. I love it so much because it's pure lunacy. Everyone looks insane if you ignore the main characters. The biggest, I would say, the biggest show for this, I think, would be Friends. And my theory on that is that it was such a huge show that everyone was trying to get noticed. And if you're an extra, on Friends, you might as well like kind of come alive a little bit.
Yeah, like directly into the camera.
I don't think there was too much of that, but I definitely saw. With extras, they're pretending to talk, right? Mm-hmm. There's no sound. So people start talking at the same time. And that makes me laugh so hard. And that their gestures don't match up because there's no verbal context to it. So, there's always these inconsistencies in how one person is body language is versus the other. And sometimes people just overact it and look like crazy people. And it's like, there's no, you try to figure out what conversation they're having, and there's no rational conversation that they could possibly be having to justify what you're looking at.
Yeah, people take that so seriously. That's why I stopped. I couldn't deal with those.
The competition.
They honestly, all right, so at this one time, and this is like one of the last few times I did background, we were in the moving van, and there was like, it was all background. We picked up one actor though, so the actor had to get to set, so we were kind of, you know, like we didn't have time for anything. And then we were driving, and then this guy sitting next to me, he goes to lock his car to like double check if it's locked. He hits the trunk button, so a trunk flies open. So we had to stop the van, and so he gets out. And then, like, the van driver's, like, waiting for him, and, like, the actor has to get to set, and everyone's like, just go, just go, just go. And I was like, yeah, just go. He's only background. And literally everyone on the bus got so upset. They're like, it's like, oh, my God, you're background, too. You realize that? And I remember I just let him out. I was like, yeah, but I know my place. So we're at the bottom of the totem pole.
So I bet you made a lot of friends that day.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they were talking about me on set. But only a couple people laughed.
Yeah,
that was like the beauty of it. Some dude came up to me after. He's like, dude, these people do take it too seriously. I was like, thank you. I'm like, geez, I'm not the only one, you know?
Yeah. Jeez, that's pretty I'm assuming a lot of the people who got offended were older.
Yeah, there's some
lifers, some... I thought this would lead to acting, but I've long since settled into the idea that this is what I do, and so now to have self-preservation, I take pride in my work and look at it as an art form, and have created a whole story in my mind, much like I do for the characters I will never play. Okay.
Yeah, well, it's sad, though, because these people do it, like, if you do it too long, then you'll forever be kind of classified as a background actor. Is there
any background actors for people who are like, I need that guy for my project?
You know,
like, that's
just like
the guy.
They're too like recognizable, you know. Like they'll know, like, oh, he was in Friends, then he was in 2.5 Men. Like he can't just be jumping like storylines here, you know.
Yeah, he was the dry cleaner's assistant in 2.5 Men. It wouldn't make sense for him to be. Yeah. Oh man.
Now, I have to ask you a question. Yeah. I'm sure a lot of people ask you about this.
Why do I even do this?
Is starting your own podcast.
That was phrased like, or that was the.
That's like the subject of what the following questions will be about. Yeah. Me and my some white buddies are starting this podcast, and we were just wondering how do you build an audience.
Yeah,
you get the start of one. Like how
I'll tell you that I'm still basing this a lot on what I've learned through building like a following through music, which is just general art marketing, aka marketing something that has perceived zero value in the world because all this shit is given away for free. I guess with the podcast, it's for me. I'm. So a bad example because like I kind of went into it then again you do stand up. I was gonna say I went into it from doing music, so it was very easy for me to go, okay, I'm gonna have my first 10 guests were bands that I played shows with all the time. So like that was just a way to get the idea of my podcast out to people who already had heard of me. So like their fans and my band's fans were able to listen to it And before I go any further, I should say that the ideal audience for your target audience for your podcast isn't people who like your comedy. It's people who already listen to podcasts who also might like your comedy. So it's easier to get a podcast listener into a new podcast by far than it is to get somebody who doesn't listen to podcasts to listen to your podcast. Because that's like asking someone who's never watched TV to start watching TV. To go like it's a whole different medium. So definitely get it out to people who may know who you are, but you're gonna want to find like unfortunately with comedy, there's a lot of like so many comedians have podcasts that comedy audiences tend to listen to podcasts. But you're also going to want to find the people who have time to listen to a podcast, which is often people who work or have a commute or have stretches of time where they can't do anything else but be entertained by something. So then the other thing would be, so what kind of podcast are you guys doing?
It would just be it'd be a comedy, mostly about like either riffing or making jokes about headlines, kind of like a SNL like weekend update type thing.
Okay, how long do you think it'll be?
Honestly, I think it goes back and forth, but I don't think it'll be longer than a half an hour.
Oh, okay.
I know it's gonna be like a half hour a week, or maybe like a short like 10-minute installments of like 5 times a week, so we can release it like.
Oh, that's cool.
In
that case, yeah. Well, if you do either way, but especially if you do the 10-minute ones, the way, because the two kinds of audiences that you're going to build people who you're reaching out to because they may like your comedy or whatever it is. It's like a place to direct people who find out about you from other ways. But you're also going to want to find a stumble upon audience. And so to do that, one, I guess the easiest thing for me when it came to getting new people to find my podcast is it's having other guests on. So one thing you're going to want to do, and this also lessens the load of how much work you have to prepare, because what you're talking about requires preparing a shit ton. Mm-hmm. And by shit ton, I mean more than like, it'll take longer to prepare 10 minutes of that than it would be to do the 10
we're
minutes.
still in like the
planning
stage.
Yeah, so what you're going to want to do with that, I would bet, especially for the first handful of episodes, have one guest on every week. So it's like you and however many people you got doing the podcast, and then have one guest on. You don't have to interview them or anything. Just have them come on, contribute some material. They can and should be like other open micers in your area, so that it's like it stays within the community. But then the people who know them but don't necessarily know you guys will have an excuse to listen in, and a small percentage of those people are going to go, oh, these guys are pretty good, I'm going to continue listening to them. So I think you should do that, but also tags and YouTube are going to be your best friends. Mm-hmm. You'll definitely want to post it on whatever your main hosting page is for it, have it on iTunes, all that stuff, and make sure to add as many tags to your subject matter, to this, to that. Definitely when you post it on YouTube, hashtag things you talk about or celebrities you talk about, whatever it is, that's how people are going to stumble on it. And then that's for Twitter, I mean. And then for YouTube, you're going to want to, especially if you do those 10-minute, like 5 times a week or whatever, however long you were going to do it, posting them on YouTube is fantastic. That's a place where people, like one of the biggest places, if not the biggest place for people to go. Yeah, it's definitely the biggest place to go check out music or comedy. That's where people go to like stumble on stuff. They go, I want to find something I've never seen before. They tend to go to YouTube. And that's where you can really tag the shit out of everything you talked about. So that week when people are Googling or YouTubing or tweeting about all the things you talked about currently, they're going to stumble on your thing. And then a lot of them, you're going to find probably the stats are like, most people listened for like a minute, realized it wasn't what they were looking for, and then peace out. But you'll get a slow, steady build of listeners. And by the way, posting consistently like that, even if it's just weekly, but a couple times a week, is fantastic, because you'll always have like, there's nothing worse, especially in the music world, than when a band is posting the same fucking link to the same song or the same video for months and months and months at a time. So what you want, is you have new content to put out, or even new excuses to put it out. Like, sorry, this is way too music related, but I'm doing a bunch of acoustic stuff. I'm putting them out one song at a time, and every song I put out is accompanied by I'm commissioning art from a few different like local artists that I really like. And so every time I put up a song, even if it's a song that's been posted on an album before, now I have a new excuse to post it because there's new art. I put it on a YouTube video instead of a Bandcamp page, and it's just an excuse to put something else out. Just keep putting shit out there. And as far as making money, well, there's no money, but with YouTube, the way to make even just like a little bit of money that I've heard time and time again from people with I don't have like a successful YouTube page. I'm just starting out, like building that kind of an audience. I've never really used sites outside of like for music before. But one great thing is it's just it's quantity. It's a lot of quantity. You steadily build these kind of views. You steadily build all of this stuff, and hopefully one thing gets shared a bunch. And you're just, buying lottery tickets. You still have to win the fucking lottery, but the more tickets you buy, the better chances you have. That's my podcast promotion spiel.
Well, I appreciate that. I do. Thanks.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no problem.
But I see what you mean by the YouTube thing, because it's like the video that I have up there. It's taken up to this point to get like 200 views with it.
How often are you sharing it?
I mean, not too often though.
Yeah.
I just use it for like bookings or festivals or something like that.
Yeah. Well, let's say the one thing, and so this is all as far as the YouTube stuff. I've been doing lots of marketing with my band, like my bands in the past, and it's always a slow, steady build. And the last band I was in the span of about 6 months when we released this record, our first record, I think the total was something like 3,500 CDs that we burned and passed out. We sold / gave away with ticket sales 1,000 copies of our album over those 6 months, and then gave out something like 2,000 or 3,000 download cards. So we're talking physically handing out math, like 7,500 like promotional materials for the band in a 6-month span, and it helped a lot. But the return rate is so fucking small. And some of that was us learning how to do it better. But like a lot of that is just the nature of how it goes.
Yeah.
And having to figure out how to find your target audience. And sometimes that can happen quickly, and sometimes it's just a slow build. But I started trying to figure out how to best utilize Twitter and YouTube. And just in the past 3 weeks, I've put out 2 songs, right? And with between like the promotional stuff that I was thinking about, like figuring out how to do it, and how to tag correctly and when to post, where to post, the whole thing of adding art and doing whatever, and targeting the audience more specifically. In 3 weeks, I put out 2 songs as myself, as an acoustic artist who no one's ever heard before. It's not like it's not like I have a built-in audience or anything. And in those 3 weeks, those 2 songs have combined for about 700 streaming plays, which is like a lot for what it is.
Yeah.
And that happened very quickly and spread in a way that even though my other band, my full band that I'm in, is way bigger than any acoustic thing, I'm like by far, it's not even close. The targeting, like promote or whatever, not promotion, the targeting, I don't know, whatever, how I've been putting out the songs has worked with a lot less effort and has had a much higher retention rate. And I think a lot of that was when I realized how to target the audience, which is why I made such a good point. I made such a strong point about not just trying to give your podcast to people who are into comedy. Give it to people who are into comedy podcasts. That's where you want to slip in.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And so you asked just the right question for me to go off. I wrote. I also write for this music website, and I just like a week ago handed in a 20,000 word like article series on how to build your band. So I'm like, how do I condense as much of this for what Rob needs in like 5 minutes? Yeah. All right. Well, so on that note, I am gonna go change poopy diapers probably. And But by the way, it's so, having a kid, especially an infant, is so not as bad as everybody tells you. I think what people tell you, it's so hard and it takes so much time and all this, I think those are people who have never tried to make it successfully in an art field because they think that their 9 to 5 is like so grueling.
Yeah, it makes a lot. You just clarified a lot with my sisters.
Yeah, go for it.
Granted, they have 2 kids, but I mean, still, they just stay at home wives.
That can be very tiring, but it's not the same. Like it's not the same. And so with that, I don't know the physical tolls of breastfeeding, so I can't really talk about that.
One of my sisters doesn't even breastfeed either. That's like the thing.
Yeah.
You know?
All right, well, in that case, yeah. But like, well, so that's like but with having the kid, it's really not bad. By the way, I'm 29. And so it's not like it's not like it's like crazy age to have a kid. It's like pretty standard. But like but it's really the hardest thing really just is like structuring your time, because I could totally see if I wasn't so hyper vigilant about these times I'm doing a podcast, these times I'm doing some band stuff, these times I'm working, these times I'm doing like it's all very structured. If I allowed it to just if I didn't have such a structure, it could be baby all the time.
Yeah.
Because I would just like go to my phone and flip through Reddit or go on Twitter or something.
Yeah.
And waste all those 5 to 10 minute periods, and then before you know it, you got to do some baby stuff again. So like for I don't know, if you knock anybody up, don't worry, it won't be too bad. Just structure your time well.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Well, do you have any plugs or any places we can find you, and also send them to me on Facebook so I can post them when I post the episode?
Well, through Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, I'm at Comic Rob Banks. So you can find me on those sites. On YouTube, I'm also on there, either Rob Banks or Mr. Urbank, MRURBANK. And then I have a show May 30th on Sunset at Rafa's house. So at 7 o'clock. But I mean, if you follow me on Twitter or any of those things, you'll see.
I'm gonna try. I'm posting. I have a backlog of podcasts. So I am posting them as fast as I can so I can get current. I'm going to try to get this up by that time, but it's no promises.
Oh, okay.
But it actually might, because I'm doing them like every other day. Just going to fucking crank these out. All right, cool, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
And
it was good talking.
Having me.
Man, yeah.
It was fun, man.
Excellent. I will hit you up soon. We'll keep in touch.
Yeah, I'll talk to you.
All right, I'll see you, dude.
Yeah, I'll see you around, buddy.
All right, bye.